he- he- Hello? Hello? Fucking Twitch, man. Yeah, I'm assuming I'm live. Hello, everyone. I need to refresh the stream on my end because the video didn't load on my end, but I'm assuming I just need to refresh. God damn it, Twitch. Hey, what's up, Fatepi? How's it going, Mepaz? You have to refresh as well. It doesn't even put up a pause play option. Okay, now I can see my own stream. How's it going, everyone? Hold on a second here. Let me just grab my headphones and shit. Oh boy! And now my chat is disappearing constantly while it's refreshing. So if anyone asked me a question over the last few seconds, I wasn't able to see it. Hey, what's up, Sib? Now I think my chat is okay. Mr. Kane, what's up? Oh, these glorious menu themes. I love it. Ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. So, where are we? What are we doing? How's Zeke? Okay, we have everything. We have the rail gun. Okay, I thought maybe I was gonna have to go and get the rail gun. I saw DRK was fighting Pupa earlier. Hey, what's up, fools? How's my poop? Did DRK inform you of my poop? It was fine, yeah. Maybe a little bit watery. But you know, nothing too bad, nothing too dangerous. You fucking asked, man. That's what you get. Yeah, maybe a little bit liquid. Okay, we have a couple of other Strangelove tapes to do, I think. We also have some Zadornov missions to do. I think the arcade just did a Strangelove tape, so maybe we'll pace those out a little bit. Let's do the first Zadornov mission here.
Snake, Zadornov has escaped custody. Find him.
Okay. We probably won't do all of the Zadornov missions. Just do a couple of them, play the tape, switch over to the final save, do the Paz diary, and we'll wrap it up with the second ending.
Stealth.
Stealth. Well... Outer Heaven. Forgot this is where we get this title card. The post-game title card. Quite like
Find Zadornov and bring him back here with Fulton recovery.
I really like the nighttime ambience.
Freeze.
Now, I think... I'm not exactly sure how it works. I think in some of these Zadornov missions, his position is fixed. And in others, it's random. Every time I go down there, in this first one, he's never there. So I think this first one might be fixed. Love the nighttime, the moonlit kind of glow that it has. The fog. El Senegal. Wait, this isn't where I want to be. But I guess we can check here. Zadornov, you in here? No, I don't think he's here. I guess he could be up in the cabin. Fuck it, we'll check while we're here. I don't think he's gonna be here though. And you. Bum, 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 bum. Probably not eating too healthy during marathons. I don't usually eat healthy regardless. Well, that's not entirely true. I don't eat like fucking shit, but I do eat a lot of cheap microwavable meals, even outside of marathons.
Fulton recovery helicopter is complete.
But I don't eat too much garbage or anything. Bum, bum, ba-dum. I've only had one Nando's during this marathon. It's mainly been the cheap microwavable meals so far. No M&Ms. I probably used to eat worse like a year or so ago on stream, really. I used to have M&Ms more often. I used to eat, you know, snacks more often during streams. I don't really do that much anymore. Am I a coffee drinker? Yeah, I really like cappuccinos are usually my go-to. I go to a nearby coffee shop. Some mornings, which does really nice coffee, cappuccinos. I know in, I think it's the first mission when you come through here, if you're really quick, you can see a Cypher just flying past. I always forget about it or miss it. That's why I was looking up there. I thought maybe it would appear during this mission as well. No mochas. Mocha. What's the deal with mocha again? Does mocha involve chocolate? I think it does, doesn't it?
Freeze.
Maybe I'll have to try a mocha. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Ha!
Freeze.
What is a cappuccino? Yeah, I really like cappuccinos, and I might not even really be able to answer what it is. I think it is milk and espresso.
Freeze.
Frothed milk, yeah. I used to drink lattes quite a bit.
Freeze.
Ah, fuck. I drink tea quite a bit as well. Tea is known to be a very English thing, but it's also a very Irish thing too. So growing up I had lots of tea. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Mulholland Drive has ruined espressos for me. Espresso. What the hell is going on here? It's a great scene.
Fulton recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter.
The enemy.
No.
Freeze.
Oh, he's not here. You son of a bitch. He's going on. Oh, he's going to be over there. He's going to be in that room.
Fulton recovery helicopter is complete.
Yeah, here he is.
Search every inch of that area.
Love how we actually play, feels like we're playing hide and seek with him. Staring into the corner. What are you doing, Zadornov? Oh, I knocked him out by mistake. Fuck it.
Try using Fulton recovery on him. Okay, you're done with that area. Head for the goal.
Do I still live in Ireland? No, I've been living in London for the last several years. Like 7 years now, I think. But maybe I'll move back at some point.
Great job.
Although now my parents have moved away too. They've moved to France, Toulouse. Ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-da-ba. Do I follow football? Not really. I mean, I'll watch it casually. I don't support any team or anything, or I don't watch it regularly, like every weekend. But I do keep up to date with what's happening, and I do enjoy watching the occasional match. I used to watch more often.
So, you found me.
It wasn't hard. What are you up to anyway?
Just going for a stroll.
Kaz, I've got Zadornov returning home.
Acknowledge, Snake.
Just going for a stroll.
There's something I need to discuss with you, boss.
Oh shit, here
Get
we
to
go.
the point, Kaz.
We recovered the nuclear warhead that was loaded onto Peace Walker from the bottom of Lago Kosibalka.
What?
Warheads are radioactive, even if they're relatively stable. If we just left it there, it would contaminate the lake, or fall into the hands of terrorists.
Yeah.
Creating another crisis.
Right. So while the White House is figuring out how to cover its ass, I thought we'd take some precautions.
What did you have in mind?
Load it onto Zeke.
What?
What else would we do with it? Zeke is our deterrent. To protect ourselves from nuclear attack, we need a nuclear weapon ourselves. Of course, if you're not on board, we could always dispose of it. But it won't be easy getting another nuke. This is a golden opportunity. We could always get rid of it later. Load it onto some fishing boat and leave it out in the middle of the ocean. No one would ever know it's there. But if you want to get rid of it, boss, we'll get rid of it.
No. Don't. As long as there are nukes out there, we need one ourselves if we're going to be a world power.
I knew you'd see it that way, boss.
If we're gonna be a world
so as
power.
long as we stand apart from nations, we need something to put us on equal footing. In a way, MSF is a country itself. And we just became the world's 7th nuclear power.
Nuclear power.
There it is. Oh. Hey, how's it going, Dim? Let's go back to base. Hey, how's it going, Young Snow? Yeah, Genome. That's why they moved there. The house that we had in Ireland was a bit too big for them. For the two of them, you know, in their old age now, or getting there. They just thought it would be too big to take care of in their old age. So they wanted to get a smaller place. originally we had another person living in that house as well. My stepdad's mother used to live with us in that house, and she had like one side of the house to herself. But now it's really, and you know, I used to live there obviously when I was younger, but now, given that I'm not there and my stepdad's mother has died, it's really too big for two people. It's a shame. I really like that house, and I think they really like that house as well, but yeah, they thought it was just the logical move to get a smaller place. They tried to get something in Ireland, but they just thought the prices were too crazy. So it was actually a better option to move abroad. I'm sure they'll prefer the weather over in France as well. Doxing? I haven't mentioned any specific names. I haven't mentioned where the house is. I mean, Toulouse is pretty big, right? Oh. We don't need to develop any of this shit. Implosion. I don't think that's true. I don't share lots of things. I don't think I've ever revealed exactly where I'm from in Ireland. So I'm pretty safe from the crazies. Oh. I forgot to ask, what's your mother's maiden name? I forget. Oh, we have to do other random missions to unlock the second Zadornov mission. Fuck it. I mean, we got the nuke call. We did the first mission. Let's do the rest of these Paz tapes, and then we'll switch saves. Well...
I spoke out against her going, submitting a report stating the ray shielding was inadequate. But the Brass's response was brusque. She's already been exposed to a nuclear test in Nevada. She's the perfect candidate. It was completely irrational. Repeated exposure to radiation would only increase the danger. But the government was still reeling from the Soviet success with Sputnik. There was no hope of getting a rational response. They were simply too panicked. People can be so obtuse when it comes to things they can't see. I, however, understood all too well. Just as invisible ultraviolet radiation scorched my skin, heavy particle radiation from space would cause irreparable harm to human tissue. In a word, she was expendable. It was during the boss's pre-flight checkup that I noticed something strange on the X-ray of her skull. Part of the right hemisphere of her brain was damaged. It seemed inexplicable, given her keen intelligence and amazing physical prowess, but there it was, and I decided to report it. I hoped that perhaps my discovery of a physical defect would result in the flight being cancelled. But as I went to make my report, she stopped me. Why? I demanded. How can you let yourself be their guinea pig? Ignoring my protests, she took me up to the roof of the lab. The night sky was ablaze with stars. It was there that I learned how she had wounded her head. 1943, Los Alamos. She was serving with the Special Forces when she received new orders. A German spy had infiltrated the Manhattan Project, which aimed to build the world's first atomic bomb. She was to eliminate him. His name was John von Neumann, a mathematician with superhuman computational abilities and the designer of the explosive lens. The Manhattan Project was a top national priority, security accordingly tight. The guards couldn't be allowed to know what was going on. She'd have to slip past them and make the death look like an accident. It should have been an easy enough mission. But just before the operation, she received unexpected news. A new life was growing inside her. She was overcome with joy, and for one brief moment, it clouded her judgment. She accidentally got into a shootout with the guards, and without thinking, protected her belly. She was shot in the head. The bullet only grazed the surface of her brain, but the tissue around the wound was destroyed, leaving her in a coma. She wasn't given much chance of recovery, but 3 months later, she woke up. Within 6, she was able to move around as if nothing had happened. It was functional compensation. The other parts of her brain took over for the part that was lost. It made logical sense, but such a full recovery was nothing short of a miracle. Perhaps her superhuman willpower made it possible. Or perhaps my body knew it had to survive for the sake of my unborn child. She smiled as she said that. I understand how she must have felt. Some have taken to calling me Ms. Left Lobe, she said, because I'll do anything for the mission. She was tough, yes, but she had feelings too. I knew that better than anyone else. As it turned out, von Neumann wasn't the spy. The assassination order was a deliberate bit of misinformation planted by the Russians. She had been deceived. The Eastern and Western camps were united on one point: opposition to the Nazis. The Allies needed to develop that bomb before Hitler did. But in looking ahead, the Russians found the Manhattan Project's progress a little too quick for their liking. Mass production of a uranium bomb, like the one that was eventually dropped on Hiroshima, would be difficult from a material perspective. But a plutonium bomb, once perfected, could be mass-produced, and eventually even miniaturized. And Moscow did not like the idea of America having that kind of head start. Explosive lens technology was critical to the plutonium design, so the plan was to get rid of its pioneer, von Neumann. And when that plot came to light, the US and the Soviet Union parted ways for good. It was one of the rare cold nights in Florida. She put her arm gently around my shivering shoulders. As I listened to her voice, I was wrapped in her soothing scent. I felt as if I were dreaming. Even in failure, she seemed perfect. Oddly enough, the failed assassination attempt helped preserve America's edge. A true super genius, von Neumann went on to make his mark in numerous fields outside of the Manhattan Project. Economic game theory, stored program computing. Almost all computers today use stored programs, the so-called von Neumann architecture. His death would have set back computing 10 years, and I wouldn't be at NASA doing research. I wouldn't have been there in her arms that night. I thanked the fates for giving me that chance. But then she said something unexpected. I should have killed von Neumann when I had the chance. Why, I asked. Wasn't the order a Soviet plot? I looked up at her as she began to explain. Yes, von Neumann was innocent, and killing the innocent is a grave crime. But I can't help but wonder, had I succeeded, what would the world be like now? Even without von Neumann, the explosive lens would have eventually been developed, von Neumann architecture too. But she seemed to believe that if progress had been put off for a few years, then perhaps East and West would have had a chance to work hand in hand. I'd never considered such a possibility, but her tone was confident, assertive. It was as if she intended to make the two superpowers shake hands herself. The explosive lens was developed too early, spawning a Cold War and an endless nuclear arms race, she continued. That mission sprung from deceit, but maybe it was divine providence too. It was like she was speaking to her own child. Her large, warm hand was on my head. I failed the mission because I let the mother in me take over. I should have killed him, no matter how great the guilt. If I'd killed him, I might not have prevented Hiroshima, but maybe I could have saved everyone in Nagasaki. I looked up at her and saw her looking up too, up at the starry sky. Her face showed only deep remorse. It was as if she'd convinced herself that she alone was responsible for creating this twisted world. But that's no reason for you to sacrifice yourself for this. I knew I'd never dissuade her, and yet I still clung to hope. I know you're concerned, and I thank you, but I have to be loyal to the end. And then she smiled at me. Loyal to the end. Loyal to what? I asked. But she didn't answer. The days that followed were spent training tirelessly for our first space flight. The boss endured conditioning that tested the limits of human capability, and I supported her. Those were happy days. On April 12th, the spacecraft carrying the boss left the Earth's atmosphere. Although it was only 20 minutes of ballistic flight, it was nothing short of miraculous, considering how little time we'd had. The first human in space. We were ecstatic. Then something went wrong. The re-entry angle was slightly off, warping the outer hull. The cause was clear. It was the hastily constructed window we'd installed. Her capsule missed the projected splashdown point by a long shot. As we raced towards the capsule, a breaking news broadcast came over the radio. It was the news report of the successful launch of the Vostok rocket, piloted by the cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin. They'd beaten us into space by the slimmest of margins. When we arrived, the capsule had already disappeared beneath the waves. The boss was floating on the surface. I can't really recall what happened next. They told me later that I gave a strange scream and plunged into the sea, not caring whether my skin would burn. She didn't wake up. Her entire body was bruised, burnt, scorched by cosmic rays. It was a miracle she was still alive. Every day, propaganda boasting of the shining accomplishment flowed out of the Soviet Union. The hardest part was having to read the report the next morning from Izvestia, the Soviet governmental paper. Written there after the report were those legendary words of Major Gagarin: "The Earth is blue." The person who should have said those words, though, was incapacitated, confined to a bed. NASA opted to pretend the flight had never happened. The Soviets had orbited a man around the Earth and returned him safely. We'd barely managed to escape the atmosphere and achieve ballistic flight. Even worse, the pilot was horribly mangled and the spacecraft lost altogether. As they saw it, covering it up was the only alternative to seeing the nation's pride dealt yet another blow. I've been told military records show the boss was taking part in the Bay of Pigs incident at the time. They were that desperate to erase the whole affair. In the end, Alan Shepard's ballistic flight 1 month later became known as America's first spaceflight. Shepard's flight owed its success to insights earned through the boss's sacrifice. But to me, none of that mattered. I prayed day and night for her recovery, never leaving her side, not even for a moment. Then, as summer ended and the chill of winter approached, she spoke. "Give me water." I threw myself on her breast, and she embraced me. It was all I needed. I thought she would tell me about space, the true sky, where the stars don't twinkle. But the only thing she'd speak of was Earth. Our home as she'd seen it from space. So fleeting, so irreplaceable. I was ashamed. I'd been enamored for so long with the sky that I never thought to look beneath my feet, at the ground upon which I stood. As soon as her rehab was over, she was gone. It happened without warning. No one informed me, and the higher-ups wouldn't say a word. It wasn't so strange or surprising, really. I simply assumed she was off to complete her next mission, because she was loyal to the end. Since then, I've devoted myself to researching artificial intelligence, so that no one will ever have to make her sacrifice again. No human being should be asked to take on a mission that dangerous. Next time, I'll be the light that shines on someone else. I still wonder why she opened up to me on that chilly night in Florida. That operation was top secret, even if it was all in the past. I like to think it was because she trusted me. But that's probably not the case. She wanted someone to listen. And I don't think that someone was me. Those faraway eyes, the tone of her voice, like she was talking to her own child. Those things made it clear that she was speaking to someone else. I found myself envying that someone. 4 years later, I learned of her death. A traitor's death, no less. She'd stolen an American nuke and defected to the Soviet Union, where she was killed by her former apprentice. Or so I was told. I refused to believe it. She'd never do such a thing. I could think of only 2 possibilities. Either she really was trying to bring East and West together, or she truly did want to be killed. She believed the world is not the way it's supposed to be, that it's been unbalanced by the tenuous peace offered of nuclear deterrence, and that she was to blame. Perhaps her death was an act of atonement. She was loyal to the end, to our world. And I lost the light of my life. I now find myself victim to an incredibly irrational emotion of my own. That someone, the one she wanted to confess her sin to, could it be the one who took her life? The very thought drives me utterly mad with jealousy. One day, I will discover the truth.
All right. Is it finally time to switch saves, or is there anything else I want to do here? We have Eva's message. I don't think I'm going to bother with Eva's messages. It's just too much. It's more of the same, really, from Strangelove's memories. We didn't do this one earlier. Hold on 1 second, guys. Yeah, the Eva tapes is just more boss simping. Let me see what other tapes we have here. Oh, we didn't do these Cecile tapes? Oh, we did the wine one, okay. We have to do Picasso and macaroons as well.
Do you have an interest in the visual arts, Snake?
Not really. Please, no deep conversation.
But you have heard of Picasso, yes?
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Sadly, Monsieur Picasso, co-founder of Cubism, passed away in the south of France last year. France was his home, you know.
Huh? I thought he was born in Spain.
Do you know his full name?
Pablo Picasso. Anyone would know he's Spanish with a name like...
Shows what you know.
What do you mean?
Okay, here we go. Pablo Diego José Francisco de la Pala Juan Nepomuceno Maria de los Remedios Cipriano de la Santísima Trinidad Ruiz y Picasso. What do you think? That was his full name.
I love the
Still,
gasps.
I don't see how.
A master of modern art. A genius who crafted over 100,000 works in various styles, spending the greater part of his life in France. The man is a part of our culture.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is of limited use in my field. But back to the point. Picasso was Spanish, right? Or am I missing something? He wasn't French, right? Right? Cecile.
What difference does it make? It does not matter if he was from Spain or from Mars. Picasso is Picasso. It does not change the fact that he lived in France, nor does it take away from his monumental legacy. Why do you care so much about where he was from, anyway? Whatever happened to the sans frontières part of Militaire sans frontières?
You started it. France was his name.
What was that?
Nothing.
Love it. Hold on a second. Rolling mother base. Oh, we did the animal calls one. We have to do the macaroons as well.
Tell me, Snake, do you ever put sweets in your rations?
Never thought about it before. Why?
Ah, I simply love them. French sweets are très délicieux. Everyone knows crepes, but there are also profiteroles, eclairs, madeleines, financiers. Then there's tarte tatin, and you can't forget Savarin. Oh, and millefeuille, crepes, blancmange.
Yeah, you already mentioned crepes.
Soufflés, croquembouche, cannelle, Florentine, Queen Amagne, peach melbas.
Finished?
And macaroons. I love those the most. Macaroon Parisian are the best. They are so cute and colorful, and they contain meringue, so they melt right in your mouth.
Wow. I'd no idea macaroons were that popular in France, too.
What do you mean in France, too?
Macaroons are those coconut-flavored cookies, right?
Oh, excuse you? Macaroons contain almond powder, not coconuts.
Don't they have peanuts in them? I've had them in Japan a few times. I thought they were called macarons.
Macarons? Some cheap imitation, I am sure. French macaroons have a long and distinguished history. They date back to the 16th century when Catherine de' Medici of Florence married into the French royal family. The story goes that her pâtissier shared the recipe after they arrived. That is a history of over 500 years.
So, they're originally from Italy, then?
Well,
Don't macaroons come from Italy, too?
look, I do not really think.
Keep in mind, macaron is almost identical to macaroni.
Well, that settles it.
I cannot believe this. To associate macaroons with macaroni? You, Monsieur Miller, are an insensible oaf.
Hey, why am I the bad guy? Come on, Cecile, wait! Cecile!
I was picturing Snake alone by himself at the end. Alright, I guess we won't bother with the other ones here. Let's do Roland Mother Base. I can't remember what this one is.
How are you enjoying Mother Base so far?
Ah, it is wonderful.
Good to hear. I was worried someone as cultured as you would find the plant a little uncouth.
Uncouth? You've got albatross, and frigate birds, and terns, and tropic birds.
Terns!
Seabirds I have never had a chance to see in France.
Oh, well, great.
Sorry, I know I should not spend all day chasing birds. Is there anything I can help with?
I appreciate the offer, but I'm not sure what I could ask you to do.
Well, I'm certainly not cut out to shoot a gun.
Cecile, where'd you learn to move through the forest like that? The birds weren't scared of you at all.
Becoming one with the forest is the very essence of bird watching. They won't behave naturally if they sense a human nearby. And that can really affect your observations.
I see. Kind of like scouting then.
I am also good at spotting birds from a distance, tracking them based on the tiniest of clues, and being aware of my surroundings.
You're starting to sound even more like a scout.
The only way to find a bird is to think like a bird. Now, think you can find a place for me?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, it seems like we did a lot of these ones with Huey. Chico. Here we go.
Hey, what's with all this sighing? You're not your usual self.
Oh, Snake.
Something on your mind?
Huh? No, not really. I guess. Hey, Snake. Girls are funny, you know? You can never tell what they're thinking. They're always doing their own thing. Maybe they really are different from us men.
Whoa, what's this about now? Chico, do you have a crush on somebody?
No, it's not that. I just...
What? Go ahead, you can talk to me.
Whenever I talk to Paz, my heart starts pounding and everything I say comes out wrong.
Paz? I guess she is pretty close to your age.
That ever happened to you, Snake?
Well, sure. Happens to everybody.
Well, how do I talk to her?
That is a tough one. Why don't you try, talking to her like you talk to everybody else?
No, it doesn't work. I freeze up every time I'm around her. Our eyes meet and my face starts burning for some reason.
It's like living on the battlefield. You just have to get used to it. You're nervous at first, but the more you're out there, the more natural it feels. Get your courage up and go talk to her more often.
Oh, okay. Man, girls are more full of mysteries than UMAs.
Oh, you got that right.
I just love how it's the only analogy Snake could possibly use, you know? It's like being on the battlefield, I guess. It's difficult at first, but the more you're out there, the more easier it gets. Let's see. Okay, we did a lot of these. Professor Galvez. What's this one?
Professor Galvez was a KGB spy? I thought he helped me out of genuine concern for Costa Rica's future.
You didn't know.
How could I? Believe me, Snake. He introduced himself as a peace researcher at the university. He had an office and credentials and everything.
They're masters at creating cover personas. They think of everything. ID papers, jobs, sometimes even families. Don't feel bad you didn't see through it.
But you did?
From the first time we met.
I wish you had told me.
Sorry. I didn't know if it'd be right. You might have gotten mixed up in things you shouldn't.
That is impressive, though. Sizing him up at a single glance.
He reeked.
Reeked?
He had this unmistakable air about him. The air of someone who's been given a mission and will see it through no matter what. Like me. I could just smell it.
That is amazing, Snake.
I'm just kidding. It was his prosthetic hand. Why would a professor from a peace university need a tool for assassination?
That's a really good one. I usually forget about this tape. It's a good one to do before the Paz Diary as well. Okay, interesting. Yeah, let's switch saves. We'll do the Paz Diary. Ba-da, ba-da, ba-da.
As of today, I will be living here at Mother Base. Now my real trial begins. Zadornov was paying my room, board, and tuition, but he has since been captured. I told the man that with no more money from the KGB, I could no longer afford school. He bought my story, and when I said I would be willing to work, he took pity on me and let me stay. For some reason, Miller really pled my case. That was helpful, but the man is still a fool. His men are no better. They think their training makes them strong, but that kind of strength is nothing in the face of true power. And better yet, they wait on me hand and foot, believing I am just a schoolgirl. Looks like I won't be working too hard after all. Just today, while scouting out the living quarters, I saw a group of them in the corner of the deck making a fuss. Going over for a look, I saw they were feeding a kitten. A bunch of grown hard men, and they're the ones acting like schoolgirls. Look, isn't he cute? What is wrong with them? Disgusted, I just nodded and smiled. I must stay in character after all. I indulged their chit-chat for a few moments. Then one of them asked me to give the thing a name. They had just taken it from its mother. I named it Nuke. I improvised some nonsense about how our compassion for living things can help prevent wars. The men gave me a little fish. I held it out in my palm and the kitten happily ate it up. What a pathetic, feeble creature. It sickens me. Today, Chico invited me to go fishing with the soldiers. I suppose finding one's own food does have its merit, but I prefer not to be involved in such a degrading task. And their prattling on about fishing being fun is nonsense. I'm not here to find playmates. Nevertheless, distasteful as it was, I went along in order to maintain my cover. Chico thrust a fishing pole into my hands, and we went up onto the deck where several soldiers had gathered. They welcomed us warmly. With so few women aboard Mother Base, I'm treated like a princess. No one suspects I am neither a teenager nor a student. It was nice and sunny, with a gentle breeze and waves. As I cast my line and waited for a bite, the soldiers began to ask me all sorts of questions. As always, I answered according to our predefined scenario, feigning a smile. As I sat there feeding them lies, the fish began to bite, and the soldiers began to focus on their prey. Chico had his bait stolen by a fish, and got so angry that he stood up and nearly fell into the sea. Everybody laughed. It almost made me want to join in too. At some point, I got a bite myself. The instant after I felt that first gentle tug, the fish yanked the line with astonishing strength, and I let out a cry of surprise. I thought he was going to be huge. It was my first time fishing, and I was a bit flustered, so the soldier beside me helped by supporting the pole from behind. "Reel it in," they shouted. I nodded, turning the handle as fast as I could. I wondered what kind of fish live below the surface, and thought back to the deep sea dives I had to do as part of training. Those were difficult days, but I remember finding the multicolored fish gliding through the water incredibly soothing. After a hard fight, I pulled it up. To my surprise, it wasn't even half a vara, rather anticlimactic. But I wasn't doing it for fun, so I wasn't the least bit disappointed. Nook was hovering nearby with an expectant look on his face, so I gave the fish to him. All in all, a thoroughly wasted day. Preparations are coming along nicely. No one suspects me of being the one to let Zadornov out of his cell. Today, Amanda and I taught Cecile how to make gallo pinto. It is a simple home-cooked dish consisting of black frijoles mixed with arroz. It is well known throughout Central America, not just in Costa Rica, so it is no surprise that a Nica like Amanda would be good at making it. But I was raised in the States from a very young age, and could hardly even remember my mother's gallo pinto. Having to make chit-chat with that clueless bird lover and the so-called revolutionary was excruciating. And, clueless or not, I will need to be especially careful around Cecile, the one who actually recorded that tape. Thankfully, Miller and his men seemed to believe I mistook the tape I found for one my friend made. In any case, one can never be too careful. Anyway, the three of us minced garlic and herbs, then cooked them in a pot with frijoles we'd soaked overnight. While waiting for them to cook, we sautéed onions and arroz in a frying pan. Cecile worked the frying pan according to Amanda's directions, but seemed a bit glum. She does have a knack for cooking, though. She is French, after all. We added water to the pan and watched the arroz begin to steam. While we waited, Amanda shared memories of her mother with us. They had been separated because of Simosa, but the taste of her mother's cooking was still fresh in her mind. When the frijoles were ready, we drained the water, stir-frying them with the rest of the vegetables. Quite a complicated process for home cooking. Nonetheless, it kept them occupied. The longer we sat and talked, the greater the chance of my arousing their suspicions. With women, it is not enough to just bat your eyelashes and giggle. It takes a lot of effort to divert attention. When the arroz was done cooking, we folded it into the frijoles and added salsa, stirring the mixture as it simmered. At this point, for some reason, the conversation turned to romance. Why does it have to be that way whenever women get together and chat? Cecile fancies herself to be well versed in such matters, and gave Amanda all sorts of advice. It was harmless enough, until, to my irritation, she began pestering me whether there was anybody I liked. Not right now, I said, trying to dodge the question. But she pressed on. It's Snake, isn't it? I gritted my teeth and played it coy. Maybe. Cecile nodded and giggled. He is pretty sexy, isn't he? What a ditz. It's all I can manage to just survive. The thought of romance has never once crossed my mind. I have no interest in that kind of man. Soon enough, a rich aroma began to fill the room. The gallo pinto was ready. Nook came over and rubbed up against our legs, looking for a handout. Unfortunately, it was not the kind of food a cat would like. We let a few of the soldiers have a bite, and then headed off to the mess hall. The home-cooked flavor we'd achieved was a big hit with the men of MSF. Not that we are trying to impress them or anything. Even I could manage a dish like that. Snake enjoyed it too. Let me make this absolutely clear. I have no interest in that man. Football, or soccer as it is known in the States, is extremely popular here. It has not caught on yet in the US, but it has legions of rabid fans all across Latin America. These fans can get so rowdy that it is commonly believed El Salvador and Honduras went to war in 1969 over scuffles in a soccer match. In reality, tensions between the two countries were already high. The match was merely one of the sparks that set them off. But these people are so passionate about this sport that the story seems plausible. Predictably, many of the soldiers here are fans. They have apparently divided themselves into Costa Rican and Nicaraguan teams and started playing each other. To play, you need a ball and 2 goals. The R&D team built and set up simple goals on the deck. I had absolutely no interest, but Chico insisted that I come and watch. It was not a proper match by any means. The pitch was not even regulation size, but the players and spectators alike got pretty excited. They banged empty cans and shouted cheers through the handmade megaphones. It almost felt like carnival. Huey, the referee, blew a whistle to start the match. The soldiers' training has left them in excellent physical shape, but they lacked the honed skills of professionals and their play was quite rough. Midway through, one of the men collided with another. They started shouting at one another, but Huey stepped in. "I thought we had forsaken our countries, become one with the earth," he said, quoting Snake. "We're not competing for national pride here, and we are not fighting for the good of any one country. This is not a war. Soccer is a peaceful sport, am I right?" The soldiers nodded. They know the pain of war, and they share Snake's vision. Perhaps that is why all this resonates with them. Team Costa Rica was down a man, and somehow I was picked to fill in. Costa Rica had the advantage up until that point. I suppose Huey wanted to keep it balanced. The soldiers agreed with Huey's call. Maybe the Costa Rican players felt an even matchup would be more fun too. I could not be bothered to run at first, but chasing the ball out there in the hot sun, I was soon drenched in sweat. Before long, I found myself actively seeking out the ball, partially out of desperation. I picked up a loose ball deep on the opponent's side of the field. Even though he's Nicaraguan, Chico cheered me on, yelling, "Go for it, shoot!" I launched the ball as hard as I could, only to have it blocked by the keeper. Disappointment only increased my determination. In the end, I didn't score a single goal, and Costa Rica gave up its lead. It was really close, though. We congratulated each other on a good match and sprawled out in the shade on the deck, exhausted. The ocean breeze felt so nice on my sun-soaked body. Nuke came over. It is one of his favorite spots, and stretched out next to me. And together, we watched fluffy white clouds drift lazily across the clear blue sky. It was lovely out today, so I decided to sun myself in a lounge chair up on the deck when Strangelove came up to me. Despite the heat, she was in her usual long sleeves and pants. I waved at her. She looked away and mumbled, "Hello there. Fancy meeting you here." I asked if she needed anything, feeling her eyes creeping up and down my body like she was savoring it. Finally, she swallowed and said, "You have such beautiful skin." Bewildered, I shook my head and said, "No, not at all. I had heard rumors that she was a lesbian. But she couldn't be after me, could she?" She continued to stare and said, "No, it is beautiful, but you must not let yourself get so tanned." And then she took my hand in hers. "What is wrong with a little sun?" I asked, trying to cut the conversation short. But she shook her head violently. "No, you mustn't. A young lady should take better care of her skin." She was acting strangely now, as if aroused. She lectured me on the perils of tanning, how it ages skin, causing wrinkles and spots, and in the worst cases, even skin cancer. I knew already that tanning could cause spots, but I thought only pale-skinned Anglo-Saxons had to deal with that. Having a scientist tell me it causes aging, though, that spooked me a little. If I am to keep playing the teenager, I will have to start paying more attention to my skin. Sensing my anxiety, She took a small tube from her pocket. She said it was the sunscreen she always used. She told me to keep it. I didn't know what to say. I was more than happy to take it, but exactly what were her intentions? Was she merely being nice? Or is she really into me? Either way, there was no reason to refuse, I suppose. I have undergone training. An out-of-shape woman does not pose any real threat to me. Having power means not being afraid. It is the same on a global scale. A country with nukes can dictate terms to a country without them. I thanked her and took the tube. Then she offered to put some on for me. She squirted some lotion onto her fingers and began rolling it into my chest. It happened so suddenly, and I was so taken aback that I did not even think to protest. She caressed my stomach with her long white fingers, then slid them upwards between my bikini-clad breasts. What? Wait, I sputtered as her moist eyes met mine. She was beautiful. Somehow, I found myself captivated by this woman more than 10 years my elder. Hold still, she whispered in my ear. I nodded silently, unable to refuse. My body went limp, motionless, as if in a trance. Gently, carefully, she rubbed the lotion all over my entire body. I shouldn't have enjoyed it, and yet I could not help myself. For a moment, I was spellbound. That woman is dangerous. I had better watch myself. Protecting one's health is an important part of any agent's job. But despite my best efforts, I have caught a cold. Now that I think about it, Mother Base's numbers are on the rise, with soldiers coming from all different places and backgrounds. It is no wonder, then, that sooner or later someone would bring in a virus. That said, what I have got is just a common cold. The medical team said I'd need a few days rest, so I've been restricted to my room and put on bed rest. I thought I'd gotten used to not having anyone around to relate to, but at times like these, being alone is just miserable. All I could do is lay there and stroke Nuke's back, trying to take my mind off how bad I felt. Nuke just sat there, not making a sound. But I did have visitors. Amanda and Chico, Huey, Cecile, Miller, and a few of the soldiers I've become relatively close to. Amanda made me a soup with herbs she said were good for a cold. Miller told me to take it easy. I will sing you a lullaby, he said, then broke out a guitar and sang some incomprehensible song in Japanese. I did not need to understand the lyrics to know he is an awful singer. Then he said, "You know what is good for a cold? Suppositories. Here, I'll show you." He began to take off his pants, so I threw my tissue box at him to make him go away. Then Strangelove showed up, saying she had some miracle Indian cure. It has got eucalyptus extract, she said. It works best if you rub it into your chest. And then she tried to take off my nightshirt. I whacked her with my pillow, and I got rid of her. Chico brought me a little flower in a cup. It had been growing in a little bit of earth that probably found its way on board stuck to something else. I found this on the deck. Here, you can have it. He tried to act nonchalant, but I am pretty sure he's got a crush on me. None of them understand. If they thought these little visits would cheer me up, they were wrong. Tonight, Snake himself came to my room. Like the rest, he believes I am just a schoolgirl and treats me as such. Why did you abandon your country? I asked him. Why create the MSF? Of course, I knew the answers already, but I wanted to hear it from him. As I had imagined, he was not exactly forthcoming. All he would say is that his country abandoned him because all he could do was fight, and that is why he needed the MSF, because that is all he is any good for. Then he said fighting is the only thing I understand, but that does not mean I have got a grudge against those who believe in peace. I am not one of them, and I do not believe in peace. Conflict is in man's nature. We fight our enemies in order to survive. Maybe we are not so different after all, he and I. But that is exactly why I'm going to have to kill him. Or else he will have to kill me. When I stop and think about this wretched existence, being killed by a man like that suddenly does not seem like such a bad thing. Every month, Mother Base throws a party for all the soldiers whose birthdays fall in that month. There is something strange about a military organization having parties. Really though, it is just an excuse to drink and make noise. It is not easy to get alcohol on a fortress in the middle of the ocean. Most days they are training from dawn till dusk. They do not have time for things like drinking. That is why Snake and Miller came up with the idea to give everyone a chance to let loose. Obviously, a bunch of boors like that are not going to bother with blowing out candles on a cake. Rather, they sit there in a cloud of cigarette smoke, drink beer, eat meat, tell tasteless jokes, and swap crude insults about one another's hometowns. But it hardly ever breaks out into something serious. They talk up a storm, but they're just having fun. It is funny. You have got members of FSLN rubbing shoulders with the UCLAs, people who once would have considered the other mortal enemies. I wonder if that is what makes Big Boss so popular. In leaving their countries behind, they leave their hatred for other countries too. Miller seemed a little protective of me. Hope they're not being too crude, he said. But soon enough, he too was drunk. He yelled, "Come here and take a look at the real Kazuhira Miller," then dropped his pants and mooned everybody. The other soldiers burst out laughing. I have never seen such a crude, ridiculous party before. And yet, all these people, laughing and acting the fool. Is this what they call peace? For some reason, I began to think about all that has happened since I came here. Fishing with Chico, cooking with Amanda and Cecile, playing soccer, having visitors when I caught a cold. When I stop and think about it, my time here has been the most peaceful of my life. But that is about to end. I cannot imagine he will be willing to negotiate. It seems I am to fight the legendary Big Boss. I do not know if I'll be able to beat him, but if I have to choose between death and defying Cypher, I will gladly choose death. The thought of dying does not scare me, but if I disobey my orders, the fear and despair awaiting me will be far worse than anything I can imagine. It was Cypher who took me in as an orphan, gave me food and a place to live. His orders may have been unreasonable, but I will never repay my debt entirely. It seems I have no choice. I must fight this man. I must fight Snake. Juno Miller, Snake's right-hand man, apparently has got at least one serious weakness. He is an insatiable womanizer. He does not bother me, most likely because he considers teenagers off-limits. But he has hit on every single one of the few female soldiers here at Mother Base. They ought to be telling him where to stick it, but end up falling for it so easily. I think some of it stems from the fact that he is actually not that bad looking. Anyway, today, that nasty habit got him in trouble. He and Snake got into one of their rare fights, and I was there to see it. They burst out of the showers, completely naked, trading punches. I am no child. The sight of a naked man does not make me blush, but this was something else. "Maybe this'll teach you," Snake yelled as he slammed his fists into Miller's chest. I heard later that apparently he had been two-timing someone, and that same someone had gone to Snake with her troubles. As I see it, it is her own fault for letting herself be deceived like that. If she is too dumb to see through Miller's lies, then she got what she deserved. But this was not the first time it had happened, or the second, and Snake read Miller the riot act. Miller argued back, and what began as a shouting match turned into a fist fight. "You son of a bitch," Miller yelled as he swung. "Not bad," said Snake, smiling, "but not good enough." And then he was back on the offensive. They had already been at it pretty hard in the showers, and their bodies were covered with bruises. Both of these men had been trained for war, their bodies deadly weapons. They were each bleeding from a dozen places. All this from a fist fight. Even so, it was far less gruesome than if they had given it their all. It was obvious that one of them would be dead were they fighting for real. Miller took another swing, yelling, "Try this then!" Snake parried, then responded in kind, but I could tell he was not aiming for anything vital. "You are one tough bastard, boss," Miller muttered. A smile crept across his face as he caught his breath. And then they went right on fighting. Blood and sweat flew off their glistening bodies. It was combat without hatred or hostile intent. I had never seen violence like this before. And yet, it was more than just a friendly tussle. They were utilizing every technique they knew. It was not a sporting match. They were not playing by the rules. How could they keep this up? At last, the two men tired themselves out, and the bizarre scene came to an end. They looked at each other's battered bodies, and then burst out laughing, embracing and congratulating each other on a good fight. It all seemed so idiotic. I still cannot fathom such behavior. But somehow, I got the sense that for all his womanizing, Miller really only trusted one person, and that was Snake. There was no way I could ever come between the two of them. And at that thought, I began to feel as if I had lost. All of Mother Base is preparing for a festival. Since Snake and his soldiers spend so much time fighting, they are setting aside one day a year for peace and relaxation. I do not know all the details, but apparently that is what Snake and Miller decided. These soldiers love the idea, of course. There is so little fun to be had here that everybody looks forward to events like these. That is all well and good, but somehow I got roped into getting on stage. "Come on, we even both have peace in our name," said Miller. "And Zdarnov, that old Ruski's name, has something to do with peace too, right? Hey, as long as we're having a day of peace, we ought to get an act together. The Three-Piece Band." I thought he was joking. He then proceeded to share his idea without bothering to check with me. And now, I am slated to sing. Apparently, he had heard me on the deck one day, and since then he's wanted to form a band. Everybody's looking forward to it, so there is no way for me to back out now. I've never done anything like this, but it does feel kind of nice to know that people are looking forward to it. I mean, it cannot be any worse than Miller's singing, but modifications to Zeke are already finalized, and I must complete my mission. Betray Cypher now, and I will face a fate far worse than death. Still, there's no need to put things in motion just yet. What difference would it make to just wait a little while longer? A whole day of peace. The mission can wait until after that. Can it not? I know I am only delaying the inevitable. When the day comes, one of us will have to die. Snake or me. But still, if I could just come up with some way to stall Cypher, at least until our day of peace. When did I start having thoughts like this? My cover is blown. They know nothing of Cypher or my true objective, but they know I am a spy. There is no more time left. I must act now. I must complete my mission. How did it come to this? All I wanted was 3 more days. Just 3. Miller's already finished writing the song. It is called Love Deterrent. It is about a girl who cannot express her true feelings. I have been practicing. I am no pro, but I was pretty sure I would do a decent job. And now this. Cypher found out that Zeke was complete. He must have someone inside Mother Base besides me, spinning his tightly wound web of control, leaving no room for individual will. Typical. When they found out Zeke was complete, I was ordered to execute the operation immediately. If I was going to enjoy just one day of peace, I had to ensure the plan could not move forward. I tried to sabotage Zeke. I thought by damaging the drive system, they would have no choice but to delay their plans. I waited until midnight, and then snuck into the hangar. There would be trouble if it looked like sabotage. I selected one of the drive system's load-bearing parts and carefully worked to warp its shape. The legs drive system requires a high degree of precision to operate. Even the smallest deviation would have done it. Then, Chico walked in. Maybe it was one of those nights where he could not sleep. In any case, he saw me, panicked, and took off running. It would have been easy to kill him, but I could not. I know he likes me. It is not as if I would ever have an interest in a child like him, but I could not pull the trigger. Not at him, not in the back. Will he tell them? Or is there a chance he will keep it a secret? Protect me? No. He knows now. Knows I am not who he thought I was. He ran without even questioning what I was doing. There is no chance he does not know. And soon, all I have built here will end. And if Cypher has another agent among them, if he finds out I tried to sabotage Zeke, this place will no longer be my heaven. Then it is settled. I make my move now. Chico walked in before my sabotage was complete, so Zeke should still be operational. It might not run at full speed or power, but I do not have time to fix that. Without Zeke, I do not have a chance in hell of winning. I must act fast before Chico sounds the alarm. I knew it would come to this. I just did not think it would be so soon. It is time, Zeke. Metal Gear Zeke. Activate.
Big Boss!
My work is done.
What are you talking about?
V for victory!
Rocket! Peace! I found Zadornov. I had to kill him.
Huh. So much for a fugitive.
Something's not right here. I'm thinking he had a friend.
Someone inside MSF. Huh?
What's going on?
It's Zeke. It's moving.
What?
There's somebody inside. I can see them. Snake, get up here. Pronto!
Down from there before you hurt somebody.
Maybe I want to hurt somebody.
What's going on? She's not herself.
Oh, I am myself, all right. My true self.
Kaz, shut that thing down.
I can't! The controls aren't responding!
Then how's it moving?
I made some modifications. This machine was meant to have a human pilot.
Modifications? Kaz, what are you...
Never thought I'd be into machines, huh?
Then Zadornov's escape was a diversion.
Kaz, what are you doing?
I'm taking it back.
Taking it back? Where?
To our leaders. To Cypher.
Cypher?
This weapon is Cypher's creation.
Paz, get down from there!
Do not call me that. I am Pacifica Ocean.
My name, my age, my mission.
Cypher gave them all to me. My entire life has but one purpose. To carry out Cypher's plan. The nasty tobacco. The angel of peace scrap. The whole teen with a dream routine. I am through with all of it.
Paz, you okay?
I told you not to call me that. It makes me want to puke. Everything is gone exactly as we planned. Now the
Real Peace Walker project is finally about to reach its goal.
Real project?
Once upon a time, there were two young men who idolized a hero called the Boss. One day, they suddenly lost the point of origin. This Cypher, that was like a mother to them. Unable to come to terms with their sorrow, they each decided to carry on the will of their hero. But they could not agree on what that meant. In the end, they became bitter enemies, and the Zero from which they both started was split into two. And you have been on the wrong path ever since. There is no happily ever after waiting for you in the end, unless you obey the will of Cypher. Where does an army without borders call home? A state without borders, of course. A world without borders.
A world without borders.
The Cold War order is about to collapse. The age of electronic intelligence is about to begin. The NSA, CSS, NRO, DIA, etc., etc. The intelligence community that has long bickered amongst itself will be united in a world governed by electrons. Cypher will gather all information, watching over the world and guiding the will of its people, all while they remain blissfully unaware. There will be no one to oppose them. For the first time, the world will be ruled by a single will. Until the new order is in place, you and your army will be the force that protects it. You will be Cypher's deterrent, pulling the wool over the eyes of the old order with your charisma and military prowess. Accept our offer, and we will allow you to retain control of MSF and Zeke.
That's an offer.
The boss threw down her gun, and with it, her life's calling. You, her disciple, have never been able to do that. You are too afraid to let go.
I was made to fight. I am a gun.
Is that so? Then what do you call this? Is it a gun too? You are a lousy liar. Admit it. This thing is a monstrosity. A product of your own fear. But not Cypher. Cypher thought of something different. Cypher's going to control guns.
Control guns?
That is right. Not deter. Control. It is the ultimate approach to the illusion of peace.
Control power. You're gonna be disappointed.
Then we are done. Thank you for playing. Better luck next time. The offer
is rescinded. And now the ultimatum. Zeke is already in nuclear strike mode.
What?
I'm taking the weapon you built and using it to launch a nuclear strike on the east coast of the United States.
You're insane. What are you after?
But wait, here is your consolation prize. We are about to show the world just how dangerous a gang of outlaws, an army without borders, can be. You and your men will become pariahs, and you will be wiped off the face of the earth. Rather than heroes, you will be seen as a well-armed extremist cult prone to indiscriminate outbursts of nuclear aggression. You
will give rise to a new world order, an age of deterrence defined by a sphere of extremist cult influence. Do you like the picture I am painting, Big Boss?
When all is said and done, peace is nothing but a fantasy. A game is a game. You either win or you lose. All you can do is fight. Stop me if you can. The peace sign is the V of victory.
Say, peace.
Who's ready for some J-pop? It's time. Let's do it.
She's gonna launch a nuke. Snake, we've got to stop her. Whatever it takes. Awaiting your orders.
Stop me if you can.
The start of the track is so jarring, man. Once you get into the groove, though, it's pretty good.
Before she can launch that nuke.
I love you. Here we go.
You can use them as cover so long as they're open.
Ha! Ah! Ah! shit. Oh!
No use. Zeke is out of my control. This is where it ends. Listen to me, Big Boss. As long as your army is needed, the world will never know true peace.
The peace you will know will be fleeting, elusive. They will use you, disgrace you, and then finally discard you like they would a cancer to society. This is the path you have chosen.
Who would have thought that little girl was working against us?
Tell me about it. She had everybody fooled, me included. Can't believe I didn't pick up on anything.
Snake, there's no point in beating yourself up over the past. But hey, maybe you should put in some practice against Zeke in case this sort of thing ever happens again. In any case, I need to go talk to Dr. Strangelove. Zeke still isn't ready.
Huey!
How's it going? How's Zeke look?
The attitude control AI had a backup, so it should be able to walk.
Really? That's good.
Beyond that, it's up to the creator. Stop! Don't come any closer, Doctor.
There's something I've been meaning to ask you. Do you despise me?
Doctor, are you asking me out?
No, not at all.
No? Pity. Because I've just had my heart broken by someone else.
What?
I only like those who can stand on their own. If you fancy me, then come walk with me. Who knows what miracles might happen. Love is blind after all. Take your time. I'll be waiting.
Snake! That name Paz mentioned at the end, Cypher. It's a code. It means empty. It also means...
Zero.
A world of electronic intelligence, built on codes. And at the center of it all, a zero.
Kaz.
Look, boss. I owe you an apology. Hear me out, okay?
Sure.
I knew Paz and the Professor. I knew who they really were all along.
Kaz.
I used them.
I suppose you were the one that brought them to Columbia in the first place, huh?
Guilty as charged. Paz wasn't just CIA, you know. She was working for the KGB, too. And for this Cypher group. In other words, she was a triple agent.
You knew all of this?
Wait, let me finish. Listen. MSF never would have gotten this big if it weren't for them. This mercenary business we built. Someday it's gonna be a new driving force in the world economy.
Is that your goal all along?
The Cold War's not gonna last forever. Sooner or later it's gonna give way to an era of regional conflicts and terrorism. A paradigm shift from counter-communism to counter-terrorism. In the new age, armies won't be tied to states, and war will become a business. We'll be a valuable commodity. There'll be clients all over the world who need our services. MSF is only the beginning. What we're creating here is a revolution in itself. Am I right?
Kaz, it's not going to be that easy.
What do you mean?
This whole Peace Walker thing has left our mark on the history of the Old Order. We've put ourselves on the radar of intelligence agencies and governments east and west. The whole world probably knows about us now.
Including that Cypher outfit.
We've let ourselves interfere with the times, with the Cold War system of deterrence. We're an army without a flag. We weren't supposed to take sides in international affairs, but we did.
I see your point. So what happens to us now?
We'll be hunted.
Not everybody's gonna be happy with us, huh?
You're damn right. We upset the global military balance of power.
And these people would rather our army without borders not exist at all?
They're gonna come knocking real soon. There's no turning back now. We're a wrench in the old system of deterrence. As long as the times refuse to change, we're gonna make a hell of a racket.
Then who are we gonna fight?
The establishment. Anybody who tries to restore the old balance wants to snuff us out of existence.
Which establishment?
It won't be a particular country or ideology that hunts us.
Who then?
We are gonna be fighting the biggest beast of all. The Times. 10 years ago, the Times rejected the boss and killed her. And now, we're the ones being tested. Will the Times erase us? Or work with us? It's gonna be a lonely battle. No good or evil. No winners or losers. Business will have to wait. The question we have to ask ourselves now is, can we survive long enough to see the 21st century?
I'm with you, boss. We'll see how it turns out, together.
The hunt is on, Kaz. And the whole world's on our tail. Assemble the men.
Alright, fools. A little bit more Peace Walker. Some post-game tapes coming up after the credits, and then we'll move on to Ground Zeroes.
Paddles of white cover fields flowing in grieving tears, and all the hearts once new, owned and shattered now. Love can kill, love will die. Give me wings to fly, fleeing this world so cold. I just wonder why. Cold as the dark, now my words are frosted with every breath. Still the hate burns wild, growing inside this heart. When the wind changes course, when the stars align, I will reach out to you and leave this all behind. When heavens divide. When heavens divide, I will see the choices within my hands. How can we ever protect and fight without trace for love to find a way when heavens
We will forsake our countries. We will leave our motherlands behind us and become one with this earth. We have no nation, no philosophy, no ideology. We go where we're needed, fighting not for country, not for government, but for ourselves. We need no reason to fight. We fight because we are needed. We will be the deterrent for those with no other recourse. We are soldiers without borders, our purpose defined by the era we live in. We will sometimes have to sell ourselves and services. If the times demand it, we'll be revolutionaries, criminals, terrorists. And yes, we may all be headed straight to hell. But what better place for us than this? It is our only home, our heaven and our hell. This is utter heaven.
That's kind of sounding ideological to me, Big Boss. Is it okay if I leave? I think I'm gonna leave. This is all sounding a bit too cultish for my liking. Let me thank some people here before we continue. Kira, Elite with the tier 1. Much appreciated. JKP Joe with the 4. Thank you very much. Surge Tankian, thank you for gifting a sub to Frick Heckman. Shuka Luke, thank you for the 39 months. And Snake, thank you for gifting a sub to Lightmare Live. And Bloodsense just now came in with the 78 as well. Thank you. Let's see here. Jay Dory with the 58 and the 58 in a row. Cheers. This marathon has been a godsend. Been watching off and on as my baby daughter has been recovering from surgery. Thanks, guys. Oh, man. I hope your daughter is getting on okay after the surgery, man. I'm happy to be of service. If I can help take your mind off things, it's always great receiving messages like this that we can, you know, help people out when they're in a bit of a situation, help people take their minds off certain things. Yeah, man, I hope your daughter is getting on okay after that surgery. Ginger Gamer with the 5-pack just now as well. Thank you. Cheers. It's interesting as well in the nuke call that you get shortly before the ending, you know, where Miller talks about how they fished up the nuke, and he says both of them acknowledge that they basically are a nation. You know, we're going to become the 7th, we're going to become a world power, the 7th nuclear power. What we're creating is a nation unto itself. And he's like, no, we have no nation, no ideology. Let's see, we have some post-game tapes here.
Snake.
So, there are some post-mission tapes we can do here now. With Chico, remember we were talking to Chico about his feelings for Paz earlier?
Chico, I heard you saw Paz trying to sabotage Zeke before she activated.
I should have stopped her. If only I hadn't run away. I could have captured her before she got inside. If I'd done that, she'd still be here.
She was carrying a gun. Probably trained to use it too. Don't blame yourself. You couldn't have stopped her anyway. You were unarmed.
I could have at least talked to her. If I'd promised not to tell anyone, Paz wouldn't have gone and done what she did. It's just I was so shocked. I panicked. Ran away.
Chico, when you saw Paz, she was trying to sabotage it, right?
Huh? Well, yeah.
And right after that, she took control of it, tried to make me surrender. Something doesn't add up. Why would she sabotage Zeke when she was about to use it against me?
What?
Her actions were inconsistent. Even for a spy. If she wanted to destroy Zeke, she could have done it and run away. But if her goal was to steal Zeke, she'd have no motive to sabotage it.
I don't know.
Maybe your seeing her caused her to change her plan. I don't get it.
Do you think Paz was planning to double-cross Cypher? Without Zeke, she wouldn't have any way to threaten you.
If that were the case, she could have told me all that from the beginning. She wouldn't have had to try and sabotage it.
I guess so, but that was the day before Peace Day. Paz was going to sing in a band. I couldn't wait to hear her. What if she wasn't going to double-cross them? Maybe she just wanted to at least be able to enjoy that.
Chico.
I knew it! If only I hadn't run away. If I talked to her. Promise I wouldn't tell anybody.
Don't second-guess yourself. Think about who might have been hurt if you kept quiet.
Yeah, but...
Besides, we don't know for sure she's dead. She was ejected into the ocean, and she had scuba equipment with her.
Yeah.
Stop beating yourself up over the past, Chico. Put your hope in the future. The past is the past, but the future is up to you.
Right, boss.
There we go. After all these years, I still don't really understand the reasoning behind the existence of MSF, unless the point is Snake is a huge hypocrite. Well, originally he's trying to carry on the boss's will. You know, you have Zero taking one path, and Big Boss taking another path, both being inspired by the boss's will. Big Boss and his army without borders. You know, they see no world and no borders, no loyalty to any state. And, yeah, the cost of loyalty. The cost of no loyalty between states, no unity. Zero sees, like, total unity. One world surrounded by one border. With enforced loyalty, I guess you could say. So really, no loyalty. But of course, after the first ending of this game, when Snake sees the boss AI kill itself, he has an epiphany. You know, that the boss at the end of MGS3 put down her gun and chose to be sacrificed, chose to die. And he saw that as some sort of betrayal, that she abandoned everything that it meant to be a soldier. And then, yeah, he throws away the bandana, symbolically choosing a different path. Let's see. Some other ones we should do here with Miller. Actually, hold on.
Remember that habit Paz had, Snake? How she always had her index finger on her upper lip like this?
Yeah. It bugged me ever since we first met her. Never figured her for a snuff user.
I can't believe we never noticed.
She used the kind where you keep a pouch of leaf in your upper jaw, let it absorb through your gums. She might not have been used to it. Probably used her finger to keep it in place.
How could Paz... We were gonna start a band together.
She was posing as a KGB agent, too.
She must have put on the act to get close to Galvez. Wonder how much Coleman knew. But the whole time she was working for some organization called Cypher.
Huh. Cypher? Ring any bells, Kaz?
Cypher. It means code, or zero in Arabic numerals.
Zero.
Does that mean something to you?
Not sure.
You know, Cypher and zero were basically the same word. It's a linguistic redundancy. The word stems from the Sanskrit shunya. It corresponds to the Buddhist concept of emptiness. In Buddhism, shunya means hollow. It supposedly refers to something that's swollen and empty on the inside.
A big swollen emptiness. Just like outer space.
So, do we assume that this tape happens before the ending scene? Where Kaz reveals, you know, that he knew where Zadornov and Paz came from? That Paz was a Cypher agent, as well as a KGB agent. But of course, even after Miller confesses everything, he's really only half confessing. Because as we'll see here, if we do the secret tape, this is like the final piece of lore in the game. This is this game's equivalent of the post-game phone call from the other games, you know, like at the end of MGS1, the credits, the final twist at the end of MGS3. This game also has post-credit scenes with Big Boss, like the one that we got just now. But here we have like the equivalent of that final big twist from the previous games. And this is interesting if you haven't heard this before. I'm not sure if I explained. You get this by completing all of the missions in the game.
It's me. Smoothly? Naturally? No. Big Boss doesn't know the truth. No, Langley hasn't decided what to do yet. Their hands are full with their own mess. True. Lubyanka is in the same boat. Yes. Other eyes continue to watch, but no sign of contact so far. Exactly. It's a non-state army to use however they want. They've probably decided there's no sense in wiping them out just yet. Better to make use of them. Indeed they have. There's a site near Angola. And we fully validated the AI as well. Agreed. In the end, a machine is just that. A machine. Sigan was right. It seems it's time for a change in approach. Machines are best suited to specialize in high-level data processing. Yes, of course. Speaking of which, any news on the Suns? 2. Already? Really? But there's strictly an insurance policy, yes? So that's the idea. I wonder how Big Boss will respond. Yes, but I'm only interested in the business angle. Like I said before, I'm neither an enemy nor an ally. I'm merely a business partner. Don't forget it. Yes, I'll be in touch, my dear Zero.
So there we go. Miller does not reveal all to Snake. He knows about the clones behind his back, much more deeply involved with Zero, knows about the plan to create the AI. Kind of weird that he would know all that, right? If he's only, you know, if he's insisting that he's only a business partner, how the hell did he find out all this stuff about, you know, the AI and Sigint's plan to create the AI? Why was Zero telling him all of this? Who told him this? Miller is a bit of an outsider, right? He's just a business partner. He shouldn't know all of their most secret plans. But, you know, you can overlook it, I guess. But, yeah, big reveals. So it was Sigint who came up with the idea to create the AIs. Makes sense. Makes sense with the whole DARPA connection. He's very well informed. Maybe that was one of Miller's conditions. You know, when they were making their deals, he needed to be kept up to date with what they were doing, considering his association with Big Boss or some shit. I don't know. So was Miller really loyal to Big Boss, or is he just using Big Boss as a business partner as well, an unknowing business partner? Is he really just in it for himself, in it for the money? He's really characterized as this sort of capitalist visionary, you know. He sees this new age of PMCs coming and he wants to take advantage. He wants to be in there at the ground floor to make all this money from the war business. But I kind of get the impression that he really does like Big Boss, genuinely, and he does, you know, he just feels like this is a necessary betrayal to build up MSF. Or, yeah, I don't know, maybe he just sees the value in having Big Boss as this charismatic leader. Miller just wanted someone to naked wrestle with. You might be right. Miller outright says that he's sticking around for as long as... Hold on. I have to scroll up. God damn it, Twitch. Miller outright says that he's sticking around for as long as Big Boss is making him money and doesn't back a losing side. I don't want to be poor or end up a loser ever again. Yeah, kind of fits with his whole character. Kind of fits with the whole capitalist entrepreneur thing. Capitalist visionary. It's how they define his character in Ground Zeroes as well. You know how everyone gets their tagline in Ground Zeroes when it shows their name? And then you get like a little blurb describing them. Miller's is what, like privatization advocate or something like that. Privatization advocate and something else. I forget what the other part is. Okay, I think we can switch over and play some Ground Zeroes. Guys, give me a few minutes. I'll just play some tunes while you guys wait. I need to switch over to PS4. Just bear with me. Give me a couple of minutes and we'll play some Ground Zeroes.